Welcome to Paranormal, where the shadows whisper and true stories blur the line between reality and nightmare. Every encounter shared here is real and far more disturbing than fiction. Dare to listen?
It was during the summer of the narrator's second year in high school when an experience unfolded that would forever remain etched in memory. Like many teenagers with more curiosity than caution, the narrator and a close friend, Takahiro, often sought ways to make their free time feel a little less ordinary. On this particular day, that curiosity led them to a place steeped in local legend, a decaying, long-abandoned hospital that had sat silently abandoned for decades. The building carried a reputation that had grown with each passing year. Locals whispered of strange noises echoing down empty hallways, of flickering lights and shadows that seemed to move on their own. It was the sort of place teenagers dared each other to explore, only to retreat after a few nervous laughs. The narrator and Takahiro had heard the stories countless times, but curiosity outweighed caution. From the moment they stepped inside, the oppressive air of abandonment wrapped around them. Dust clung to every surface, and the floor was littered with patient charts yellowed with age. Rusted surgical tools sat frozen in place, silent witnesses to the lives once lived within these walls. Bulletin boards hung crookedly, their faded notices curling at the edges, and the smell of mold and damp wood hung thick in the air. As they wandered the first few floors, their footsteps echoed sharply in the empty corridors. Every doorway led to another room abandoned to time, beds stripped bare, cabinets ajar, shattered glass scattered across the floor. Despite the eerie surroundings, nothing seemed to stir. No phantom footsteps, no whispers, just silence, broken occasionally by the building groaning under its own weight. Just as the narrator and Takahiro were about to dismiss the adventure as another overblown ghost story, a flicker of movement far down the hall caught their attention. Flashlights snapped towards it, beams slicing through the dust-filled air. 4 figures emerged from the shadows, 2 men and 2 women, all seemingly in their early 20s. The stranger's sudden presence startled them, but their laughter quickly broke the tension, carrying an almost friendly relief. "You here for a dare too?" one of the men asked. Names were exchanged, casual conversation followed, and it became clear that these newcomers had been exploring longer and knew the building well. One of the women leaned in, her voice playful yet carrying an unsettling undertone. "The real haunted spot in this place isn't down here. It's on the 4th floor, the women's restroom." Curiosity piqued. The narrator and Takahiro listened as the woman continued. "They say if you go into that restroom, you get taken to the other side." Her words were almost teasing, but the weight behind them was impossible to ignore. Against better judgment, the pair followed the group up the creaking staircases. With each step higher, the air grew colder, the darkness heavier. The 4th floor was more decayed than the floors below. The tiles cracked, the wallpaper hanging in long strips. The faint odor of rot hung thick in the air. The group stopped at a door labeled "Women," faded and chipped. One of the men pushed it open slowly, and the hinges groaned in protest. Inside, the restroom was small, dim, and suffused with the smell of damp decay. A cracked mirror hung above a chipped porcelain sink, and the far end revealed a row of stalls, doors crooked or missing entirely. The woman pointed to the last stall. smiling in a way that felt too fixed, too eager. She said, "That's where it happens. Let's go together." Before the narrator could respond, the woman gripped their arm, not gently, but firmly, insistently. Takahiro was similarly pulled by one of the men. Instinct screamed that something was wrong. The narrator wrenched free. "No, I'm not going in." In an instant, the stranger's expressions warped. Smiles stretched unnaturally wide, and then, in perfect unison, all four spoke the same chilling phrase, "Let's go together." Repeated again and again, each time accompanied by a strange, deliberate sound. Slap, 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 slap. The narrator didn't understand. They weren't clapping. No, the sound came from striking the backs of their hands against each other. Dry, hollow, deeply wrong. The hair on the back of their neck stood on end. Without a word, they and Takahiro bolted through the restroom, down the hallway, down the stairs, and didn't stop until the sunlight spilled over them, the hospital looming silently behind. Even outside, the echo of that unnatural sound lingered in their minds. That night, sleep proved impossible. The adrenaline replayed every detail, the warped smiles, the unblinking stares, and that sound that refused to fade. The next day, Takahiro's usual easygoing nature was gone, replaced with a pale, serious expression. "Didn't you think it was weird?" he asked quietly. "They didn't have flashlights, yet they came from deep inside the building. And the story about the 4th floor, who even started that rumor?" Then, lowering his voice, he added, "In Japan, a backwards clap isn't just a weird joke, it's a curse, an omen of death. When they kept saying, 'Let's go together,' while clapping like that, you know what they meant, right?" The room seemed to grow colder. The narrator understood. It wasn't an innocent invitation. Paired with the backwards clap, it was a message, a summons. Even now, the memory lingers. Not just the encounter itself, but the feeling of being drawn towards something that was never meant to be playful. The stranger's sudden appearance, their disappearance without a trace, and that sound. Slap, 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 slap. A backwards clap. A curse. An omen of death. If this story gave you chills, make sure to like, comment, and share your thoughts. The uploader wants to hear your reactions, and don't forget to subscribe for more unsettling true encounters that lurk just beyond the ordinary.